Right, this is going to be all about the Fender Jaguar, about this Fender Jaguar, and I've had this since I was like 17 years old. It's very dear to my heart. I mean, my dad, God rest his soul, he bought this for me way back in the 70s. I mean, I'm way into me 60s now, coming up to 66 for pensioner age, but basically he bought it when I was like 17 years old. It was in storage for a long time. It's got a lot of history, this guitar. It was purchased by a guy who used to work on the QE2, and he was like in the band, and he used to play in the band. And when they docked at New York, he went on shore and he was walking around and he found a pawn shop, and this was hanging up. Because of the block inlays and the sunburst finish, very attractive looking guitars, caught his eye. He went in and purchased this guitar for just £100. And so the story begins. Now, I'd be around about, this would be around about maybe 1972, 73, somewhere around there. And my dad basically took me to a pub, and the guy who had this guitar was playing, and it was the first time I'd ever seen a real live band and experienced live music. And it was such a great experience, and I actually got to play with the other musicians. And instead of just sitting in the front parlour and playing to 45 records of the Shadows and whatnot, and the Ventures, I got to experience playing with live musicians for the very first time, and that is such an unbelievable experience. It just knocks you out. Basically, I had a guitar, but it wasn't nowhere in the class of any Fender or Gibson. It wasn't even a copy. It was just an electric guitar, but it had no name. It was unbranded, and it was okay. It's what I could afford at the time. We didn't really have a lot of money. We came from Liverpool. My dad was a motor engineer. He wasn't a mechanic, he was an engineer. He used to actually make parts with a lathe and a milling machine and stuff for engines. But anyway, so I witnessed this guy playing the guitar, and the sound was amazing. He was playing through a Fender twin reverb. I've got one just like it down there, because when I got the guitar later on, I got the twin reverb to go with it. So there's me dog barking downstairs. Right, so, and that was my real journey into playing gigs and live. And I played from when I was around about 16, 17 up to 19. At 19, I packed in playing. I didn't touch a guitar until I was in my 40s, and I mean, I literally did not pick a guitar up. How I done that, I will never know in my life. But when I met my wife back in the 80s, we were at a house party, and a guy was there with an acoustic guitar, and I said to him, yeah, can I have a go of it? And I picked it up and started to play a few chords and stuff, and my wife said to me, you can't play a guitar. And my dad said, oh, he can. He used to be a really good guitar player back in the day. So that's how long of gap I went without playing. So when I eventually, as I say, in my 40s, got back into playing a guitar, and then it all came back to me about this guitar. Now, this guitar, I always assumed it was going to be a 1970s guitar because I got it in the 70s, but actually it's a 1967 Fender Jaguar. I'll put a picture up of the neck, the heel of the neck, so you can see the date stamped into it, because I took the arm off it and was looking at it and stuff, and just doing a service on it and stuff. And it's just a great guitar, even acoustically. And also, it's all original, apart from the Grover tuners. Can you see them there? And they were on this guitar when I actually got it back in the 70s. I've never touched them. I've never tried to mess around with it. And the only other thing is on it is it's got a buzz stop, which is not one of my lights, a buzz stop on it there, which you don't really need. Apparently they say it gives you more sustain, gives you a better break angle, and it stops the strings coming off. Well, I've never experienced in the 70s, even when I played in country and western bands, and I've never experienced the strings skipping over. Very, very, very rare. You'd have to play really hard. Now this guitar, it's you know, it's such an amazing instrument, and I was so lucky and so blessed and grateful, and I even am to this day, to ever have got hold of a guitar of this standard at that age. And it just shows you how my dad felt that, you know, at that age of like 16, 17, whatever it had been, he thought it was a worthwhile investment that I would carry on playing music and gig around, and I did for like 4 years or whatever. So this guitar could tell some stories. It's been in some gigs, and it's been it's been around, and it's not, you can see where it's got actually big knocks. I mean, I don't know how this, when it was getting minded, somebody had been messing with it, and it wasn't nowhere near this bad. There was a bit of paint off it here, but I don't know how that happened. That is really not good. And the other one is that, well, it's called relicking now, isn't it? And all the rest of it, this part here wasn't really chipped away either. So it's just the finish coming off it because of its age. And it's got that buckle rash on the back, as you can see there, and the F plate and whatnot. And as I say, you can even see the lacquer when you get in starting to crack, and you can see the headstock's the same, where the lacquer, if you can just get the angle right, you can see where it's all, the lacquer started to crack on it, because obviously the age of the guitar. But when I got the guitar back, I plugged it in. Wow, to my surprise, it all played perfectly, just like I remember it back in them days. So God rest his soul, my dad. This is such an important part of my musical journey, really. I don't suppose I'll ever part with it. When I go, it'll belong to my son, and yeah. And that's how that works. I can just hear my little dog coming upstairs. So yeah, the Fender Jag, and it was purchased, as I say, in a pawn shop in New York for £100 by a guy, and then my dad bought it off him for me, and he actually said I wouldn't sell it to anybody else. It was for your lad, because I know he's a good player. I don't mind giving it up, but it's such a unique instrument. Now, in the 1970s, people had Stratocasters and Telecasters, but not many people had one of these. This was a very unusual guitar to be in possession of. So I was so lucky, and it gave me inspiration to learn and play different things. Yeah, and it went on a lot of gigs, and I've entertained a lot of people on this guitar. So every time I take it out, I always think of my dad, my dear old dad, and you know, and what he went through to get me this guitar back in that time. So, and they're very versatile, because with the pickup configurations, it's a bit like if you look at Brian May's guitar, where he has all them little sort of switches. This is very similar here, where you can sort of have the like bridge pickup on, you know, and you can basically then put the back pickup on, and then you can sort of have a mixture of the two, you know, and you know, get that stratty sound out of it. But it's so versatile, and of course you've got this rhythm section up here, which is great for playing jazz if you want to get that really deep sound. Now, the profile on the neck on this guitar, as you can see, is really slim, so it's no problem. I've got big hands anyway, but it's no problem to get your hand around. The action is absolutely killer, you know, low, and it's got, I think it's got 11s on it now, and it's not hard to play at all. It just, you know, and bends. And as I say, even acoustically, it sounds fantastic. So that's a little bit about this guitar, the Fender Jaguar 19, and I don't think you can really, they make reissues and stuff, but I believe that at that time in the Fender factory, there was a lady there who used to hand wind the pickups. So these are original 1967 pickups, but as I say, I'll put a little picture of that heel on. So I hope you enjoyed that little Ventures like surf guitar number there to just introduce it, and I hope it's been entertaining for you to watch this about this particular guitar, where it came from and all the rest of it. And I'll be coming on to do a few more reviews on some of the other guitars I own, so please subscribe, like, share, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of the videos. And I also do a lot of covers as well. It'll be greatly appreciated. Thank you. So take care, people. I'll see you again soon.